Welcome back to Travel Agent TV, powered by The Hub. I'm your host, Pat Miller, and today we're talking destination weddings. And if you missed the first video in this series called Destination Weddings 101, you got to go back and see it, because if you're thinking about getting into the destination wedding business, you definitely want to see the first video in this series. Now, Travel Agent TV, it's a YouTube channel for travel agents by travel agents. We're going to share information that you need to run your business better and ultimately, come on, make some more money. That's why we're here. So we have incredible agents that are members of the Hub social network that come on and share their expertise. So make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a thing. On our show today is our destination wedding planning expert, Sarah Klein from Time for Travel in Davidsonville, Maryland. Sarah, it's great to have you back on Travel Agent TV. So we soaked up all the information last time about Destination Weddings 101, and I'm sure you helped out a bunch of people. But today's video is about the client. Now, the client, the bride and groom, right? They're the ones that are making all the decisions. Is that the case, or are there other people involved sometimes?
Oh, there's always so many other people involved. And I always have to tell my brides and grooms, this is your wedding. It's your wedding. Do you want, stop listening to your aunt, your best friend. Pick what you want.
Now, those are some people I hadn't thought about. I always thought maybe the mom had their ear, but does the maid of honor oftentimes get too much of a vote in what the bride decides to do?
Yes, and actually that's part of our initial consultation I do with my brides and grooms is I say to them, this is about you. This is about what you want. And you need to decide now, are you going to pick the resort and the location that you want, or are you going to pick it based on what other people want and other people's budgets and needs? And usually when we have that conversation, they'll say, I'm going to pick what I want. If they come, they come. And then I have the other half say, no, we've got to make it family friendly, affordable. You know, my aunt's been all these places, so we can't do these certain resorts. So there is a divide, and that's a great way to help narrow down where we're going to go with this party.
Yeah. And this episode's about super serving the bride and groom. So with the advantage of expertise, when you find a bride and groom that pick what they want, or the bride and groom that's settled to make everybody happy, in retrospect, who has a better outcome?
I think at the end of the day, if the bride and groom pick what they really love and what they have their heart set on, that does make a difference. Sometimes at the end of the day, though, they're not going to get the attendance that they wanted because it was either too expensive or too far away. So if your goal really is to have a lot of people and make sure everybody can attend, then I think they're happier that they had everyone there. So it's a loaded question. It just depends on the situation. So, and that goes into the initial consultation. What will you be happier with? A smaller amount of people where you really wanted to go, or is it important to have them all there?
So let's talk about the initial conversations with the bride and groom. What do they come in asking for on average? And what are some of the common things that they ask for that aren't real, or you have to quickly tell them, hey, I know you want that, but you really don't want that? So what are some of those misconceptions that they have coming into the conversation?
I think a lot of it is distance. You have people coming in wanting Hawaii and Fiji and Tahiti, and they live on the East Coast. And you're like, your friends and family are not going to fly 20 hours to go to your wedding for 3 nights. So kind of expectations about where people are going to actually go for your wedding. Level of resort. I mean, everybody, of course, wants, the overwater bungalows and extravagant 5-star. But if you're inviting people in their 20s, or older guests on a fixed income, you have to think about that as well. So trying to find something that really would appeal to everybody and everyone's styles is a big part of it.
And is that a tough conversation sometimes, that they're dedicated to this vision of Camelot, or this dream wedding, and you have to say, listen, you live in New Jersey, you're not going to Fiji, it's not going to happen. How long does it take them to recalibrate their expectations? Are they normally, after a day or two, they're ready to roll again?
I think it's sometimes our initial conversations can be hours long. And I don't mind doing that because it sets all the expectations ahead of time. I think it saves us all a lot of work and back and forth, because I find that the brides are so focused on the wedding day. They just keep going back to like colors and decor and menus, and I have to keep kind of reining them back into I'm your big picture. What is everyone going to do on that Friday before the wedding? What kind of activities? What do you want the resort to look like? Food choices, activities, distance from the airport, all those kinds of things, and get them out of wedding mode and into like the big picture mode first, and then let's go to wedding. And then the grooms are like, how much is it going to cost? How much is it going to cost?
Come
And I
on.
keep going, I don't know what you want. So and I tell them that I'm like, I'm not in your head. I need to get out of your head what you want. And it's amazing to me how many people really don't know. Like they've
Mhm.
never had the conversation. And I've even sat down sometimes. I love to do a Zoom call with my brides and grooms. And really, one of the good things that's come out of this horrible pandemic is we're doing more and more Zoom calls. And I will continue to do that because I can see their faces and the light bulbs go off and the eye rolls back and forth when one of them says something, the other doesn't agree with. I think we really get a lot farther with body language. Oh, it's great.
So let's dig into the psychology of that for a second, because this episode is about super serving the bride and groom. You're doing this hours long interview trying to figure out what they want, what they don't want, what their hot buttons are. How do you read them? How do you parrot back the things they're looking for? How do you know what to stand for, what to fold on, so you can give them what they want, even when they're not saying exactly what they want?
It's funny, after doing this for this long, I'll get on a call and I'll give an example. On Monday, I had a couple super cute, young, New York City, had just all these different random things they were throwing out. And 5 minutes in, I had a resort in mind for them. I could just see the vibe. I could see them at the resort. Everything they were saying just matched what I've experienced at this resort. But I sent them my typical like list of suggestions. I kind of buried that one in the middle because it's not my wedding. I don't, I would do slight push people a little bit, but they have to pick at the end of the day. They pick that resort. And
Ah,
I was like, I hate to say it, I was like, oh, good. They got the same vibe from my presentation of that property. So I think it just comes from if someone wants to get into this business, sell what you know, sell what you've experienced, what you love, because the bride and the groom will feel that from you. I can't sell anywhere that I haven't been. I just
now,
can't throw the vibe.
that's a great piece of information. And if you didn't see Destination Weddings 101, one of the things that you talked about was just making sure that you were their champion and making sure that you kind of listen to your gut a little bit, and you do this full time. Destination weddings are not for part timers. These are for the people that are really dedicated to being a great agent. So you were talking about having a place in mind. You kind of bury it inside the choices. How do you kind of steer a client? Do you do any kind of steering when you know it's the thing that they want? Or they might
Oh,
have
yeah.
some nerves about going to that level per se? Like, how do you push them to make sure they get what they want?
Well, everything looks pretty online. Everything does. And that's the hard part is so many times I start the conversation with what have you looked at? What did you like? What research have you done? And I'll tell them in the beginning of our interview session, I am brutally honest. And if you're going to get your feelings hurt, then I'm not your girl because I will shut you down and tell you that is not what you want because it reflects on me at the end of the day and I've got to hear about it. So I love when I get this list and I'm just like, no, no, no. But then I'll say, but these ones are fitting everything that you described. So I do a lot of steering and but it's for their own good
Yeah, it's
and
for
mine
their
too.
own good, for sure.
Yeah,
We've only
because
got a
there's some
moment.
fabulous resorts out there, but they're no good at weddings. So there's a balance.
Yeah.
Uh,
We've only got a few moments left, but I do want to ask, and don't give up any secret sauce, but if someone's watching this and they're looking maybe for some tips and tricks of little ways that they can super serve the bride and groom, does anything come to mind as touches or little things you can do to make them feel special?
um, I think communication is key. So as clients book, I'm constantly like, this person booked, this person, changed something. I try to kind of keep them always in the loop of what's going on with their guests. I don't hesitate to pick up the phone and be like, this person needs help. Like sometimes there's just that aunt that just can't grasp my, the emails or the process. So I just try to really, because I think the brides and grooms almost feel uninvolved for a while because I'm the one doing the planning with their guests and making these arrangements, and they're just kind of sitting back waiting for it to happen. But I have some that like that. They just sort of like, just send me the list at the end. I have others who about every 48 hours, does so and so book? Anybody else book? They're so I have to feel them in the beginning to see what their style is. But to me, that's the biggest part of it is just they all have my cell phone number and they will call me at midnight crying
Oh,
because
no.
somebody said they didn't want to go. So combination life coach, travel agent. So that's just the way it is.
Well,
So,
if you do it right, you can definitely build a business around it. That's why we're so excited to talk to you about super serving the bride and groom. Sarah Klein, Time for Travel in Davidsonville, Maryland. Thank you so much for coming on Travel Agent TV. We appreciate it.
thank you for having me. I appreciate you.